Welcome to Cinema Bites, your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The movie begins in a European country during the time the virus spread. It was mysterious. No one could find a cure. This virus would turn those infected into zombies. When someone was infected, it would increase their aggression and violence to an extreme degree, almost resembling rabies, but much more severe and with more dangerous symptoms. Years later, European governments managed to develop a vaccine, curing a large number of people with a success rate of up to 75%. The cured individuals could recall everything that happened to them while they were zombies. However, the remaining 25% were highly resistant to the treatment. The vaccine had no effect on them, and they were likely to remain in their zombie state for the rest of their lives until Europe decided their fate. Meanwhile, those who were cured caused great concern among the uninfected population, fearing that the cured individuals might relapse and attack the healthy people. We then see Sanan, who was infected but received the vaccine and was cured. However, he watches a sample of those still showing symptoms of the virus and recalls the days he lived as an infected person. Later, Sanan meets his friend Connor and confides in him about everything he experienced, expressing his inability to forget the days of his infection. Connor tries to comfort Sanan, telling him that those days are gone and won't return. He reassures him that, with time, he will forget everything that happened and become stronger and better than before. Sanan then meets Commander Cantor, who informs him that he is now responsible for him and his well-being. Cantor promises to take care of him until he recovers fully and forgets his past experiences. He advises Sanan to focus on his work and not dwell on the violent symptoms and transformations he once experienced. At this time, Sanan had no place to live due to his past infection. Commander Cantor arranged for him to live with his mother-in-law and her family. They reluctantly agreed to take him in after much hesitation. Later, they all board buses heading to the city. The rest of the population was uneasy seeing the cured individuals among them, visibly fearful and anxious that they might still be infected or show new symptoms. Upon arriving in the city, a massive protest was taking place against the presence of the cured individuals. The protesters viewed them as a danger to society and rejected their integration. Connor advises Sanan to take care of himself and never disclose his past infection to anyone, fearing that it might lead to more protests and rejection. Meanwhile, the media interviews citizens to gather their opinions on the cured individuals living among them. Most people expressed their rejection, fearing the possibility of a relapse and the threat it posed. The tension escalated as people began attacking the cured individuals in the streets, demanding they leave the city. The bullying and hostility towards the cured individuals intensified, with people labeling them as outcasts and refusing to accept their presence in the community. We then meet Abby, a journalist conducting street interviews to understand public opinion about the cured individuals. Most responses were negative, with citizens urging the government and military to take action and remove the cured individuals. They warned of a potential civil war if the cured were allowed to remain. Abby then returns home to her son Kylian, helping him with his studies and taking care of him. Sanan arrives at their house and Abby warmly welcomes him, expressing her happiness that he has been cured and is now living with them. She hopes they can live a happy life together. Sanan assures Abby that he will never cause her or her son any trouble, promising to protect them as long as he is with them. Abby reassures him that this is his home, and she is the one living with him. Abby asks Sanan about his future plans, and he tells her he will work at a rehabilitation center, helping people recover from the effects of the virus. He plans to start his new job the next day. Abby encourages Sanan to spend time with her son Kylian, to bond and build a better relationship. However, Kylian is initially wary of Sanan, asking him if he was infected and if he was a zombie. Sanan admits to his past infection, but explains that he has been cured. Kylian, still nervous, asks if Sanan might relapse and attack him and his mother. Sanan reassures him, explaining that the virus is gone and will not return. He promises to protect Kylian and his mother, Abby. Sanan then goes to his room, reflecting on his past. He recalls the time he lived with Luke, Kylian's father, and his brother. They lived together in one house until a zombie attacked them, infecting Sanan. Luke managed to kill the infected individual, but it was too late for Sanan, who had already been bitten. Sanan asked Luke to leave the house immediately, knowing he would soon transform and lose control. Returning to the present, we see Connor standing outside his house, hesitant and afraid to enter. His father appears and Connor is anxious about his father's reaction, fearing he won't accept him living with them. Connor tells his father that he now works as a janitor, a job he dislikes, and I have been very distressed since he got infected and has been asking his father to use his influence to get him a job back at the court where he used to work. However, his father refuses, belittles him, and makes it clear that he cannot stand him. At this point, Connor tells his father that if their mother were alive, she would never have approved of what he is doing. This angers Connor's father, who grabs him by his clothes, hits him, and warns him never to mention his mother again. He threatens to kill him if he speaks about her again and then leaves him. Later, the day comes when Sinan starts his first day at his new job. He rides his bike to work, and on the way, the police stop him to ensure he is not infected. After confirming his health, they let him go. When Sinan arrives at work, he finds a patient tied to a bed, which frightens and worries him. Shortly after, the doctor, whom Sinan will assist, arrives and asks him to help her, urging him to overcome his fear and cowardice and focus on his work. At that time, the patient could not see Sinan or interact with him. Sinan notices this and asks the doctor why she cannot see him. The doctor explains that those who were infected and recovered, like Sinan, are now invisible to current patients due to their bodies developing resistance against the virus, making them unseen entities to the infected. Meanwhile, Abby goes to Killian's school to pick him up and bring him home. At the school, one of the parents approaches Abby aggressively, confronting her about allowing someone who was previously infected to live with her. The woman accuses Abby of endangering everyone, claiming that such people are a threat and could attack or kill others at any moment. Abby defends Sinan, explaining that he is no longer infected, has fully recovered, and is just like everyone else now. However, the woman remains hostile and unconvinced, attempting to attack Abby. Other parents intervene to separate them, and Abby leaves to return home. On her way, Abby encounters Connor. Meanwhile, Sinan is at work interacting normally and fearlessly with the infected patient, as he is now immune and cannot be harmed. The doctor observes this and is impressed by how Sinan handles the situation without any danger or fear. She contacts the authorities to report the progress in dealing with infected individuals. However, the authorities inform her that the government is considering eliminating all infected individuals, as there seems to be no hope for curing them. They want to address public pressure and silence the citizens who are upset about allowing recovered individuals to reintegrate into society. Abby returns home and spends time playing with Killian until Sinan comes back from work and they all have dinner together. Sinan later joins a group of recovered individuals at a cafe where they discuss their challenging lives post-recovery. They share how society avoids and discriminates against them because of their past infection. Despite this, they try to support each other to get through the initial days of reintegration. After the meeting, Sinan stays behind with his friend Connor, talking about his new job at the Center for Infected Cases. Sinan tells Connor that he now understands the nature of the infections and their symptoms. He explains that they, as recovered individuals, are immune and invisible to the currently infected, which means they are no longer at risk of being infected again, even if the situation worsens. Their conversation is interrupted by Commander Cantor, who is in charge of Sinan. Cantor orders Sinan to leave, and Sinan complies, leaving Connor alone with the commander. Cantor warns Connor to stay away from his family and not to contact or interact with them again, threatening imprisonment if he disobeys. Connor becomes angry at Cantor's control over his life and tries to attack him. However, Cantor overpowers Connor, pins him to a desk, and beats him violently. Sinan rushes in to help, but Cantor's guards stop him at gunpoint, threatening to kill him if he intervenes. Sinan returns home exhausted and disturbed by what he witnessed. He falls asleep and has a nightmare about the time he was infected, vividly recalling the blood and his attempts to attack and bite people to turn them into zombies. He wakes up startled and goes downstairs to sit with Abby. There, he notices discriminatory drawings on the window, mocking him for being previously infected. He complains to Abby, but she advises him to ignore the harassment, explaining that the people around them are prejudiced and have become accustomed to such behavior. The next day, Connor sees Abby on the street and approaches her to introduce himself. They sit together in a park and talk about their past lives. Connor tells Abby that he used to work in the court before his infection, but now works in cleaning. He shares that he once planned to run for elections but feels it is now a lost cause because no one would ever accept a former infected individual as a candidate. Abby encourages him to reconsider running, but Connor dismisses the idea, believing it to be futile. Sinan returns to work where the doctor updates him on the latest developments with the patients. Sinan admits to her that he still remembers everything from when he was infected and all the harm he caused. The doctor advises him to forget the past and focus on the present, reminding him that he was not in control of himself back then. One day, while Sinan is smoking outside the facility, he notices soldiers heading toward the warehouse where infected patients are held. Curious, he follows them unnoticed and discovers that the soldiers are treating the infected individuals with extreme cruelty and mocking them. Sinan intervenes, stopping them from what they were doing. However, the infected person manages to escape at that moment. but the soldiers chase her and kill her after shooting her. Later, Sinan sits with Knor and tells him everything the army is doing to the infected, how they beat them, neglect them, and treat them harshly. Knor realizes that no one in the entire city can stand them, and they can't continue living in this condition. After that, Knor takes Sinan with him to a warehouse where a number of treated individuals are gathered. There, they were making bombs to inform the city and take revenge for everything that has happened to them. They also wanted to prove their worth. At first, Sinan refuses, but Knor insists, and he agrees to join them. At night, they go and blow up several apartments and shops in the city, especially in areas where people who had been attacking them since they arrived in the city live. The next day, Sinan goes to work, and on his way, he finds the army filling the area. The media is in chaos because of last night's explosions, and the group of treated cases is accused of being responsible for the attacks. The army arrests them, labeling them as a terrorist group to try them in a military court and keep them in prison forever to prevent them from spreading chaos in the city. Then, Sinan remembers the days when he turned into a zombie, and we learn that he killed his brother Luke, who was Clian's father, when he was infected and bit him, killing him because of the virus he was carrying. Afterward, Sinan returns home and sits with Abby and Clian. Abby asks Sinan if he has any connection to the explosions in the city, but Sinan lies and remains silent, not revealing the truth. Later, Noor comes over, sits with them, and they chat. Noor almost confesses that Sinan killed Luke, Abby's husband, but he stays silent at the last moment. The next morning, Sinan tells Abby that he will drop Clian off at school on his way to work. During their trip, their relationship improves significantly, and they treat each other with love. Later, Commander Cantor visits Abby at her home and asks her if Sinan is treating her badly or causing any problems because of his past infection. Abby assures him that Sinan has been very good to them since he returned to the city and started living with them again. She also mentions that he has a good relationship with Clian. Afterward, Commander Cantor leaves, and Abby visits the place where the treated individuals are. There, she finds them planning to increase the number of bombings in the city. Abby takes out her camera and starts filming everything. But a woman sees her filming and catches her. They take her to Noor, and when she confronts Noor, they argue about what he is doing. Noor tells her that their lives are miserable, and they can't live in the city because of the bullying they face daily. He also explains that he is doing all this to improve his life and financial situation, since he no longer has food to eat and can't work as a cleaner after once being a prominent figure in the court. Afterward, Abby tries to leave the place after realizing that Noor and his group have completely lost their minds and become actual terrorists. Fearing for her safety, she attempts to escape, but they stop her. She manages to escape through a window at the last moment, running into the street. Meanwhile, the doctor treating the infected cases was with one of her patients, monitoring their progress. She notices that the violent symptoms of the virus have significantly decreased, and she is thrilled with this progress. She sits next to the patient, but suddenly, the infected person violently attacks her, trying to kill her. The doctor panics, but manages to save herself at the last moment. Soldiers enter and take the infected person, tying them back to their bed. The doctor remains in shock, unable to believe how close she came to being infected and dying. Later, Sinan is at home when one of the city's bullies attacks him, rendering him unconscious. They write a racist statement on the wall of the apartment he shares with Abby. When he wakes up, he calls the police, but they only take his statement routinely without offering any real help. Afterward, Noor takes Sinan to the gathering place of the treated cases. There, they discover that the doctor is involved in everything that has been happening from the start, sympathizing with their cause. The doctor tells them that if they take the patient she is currently treating, they will become stronger, and no one will be able to stop them. They plan to retrieve the patient from where she is being held. However, the police raid the place, arresting Knor and Sinan, but the group manages to escape quickly before the police can surround them. Later, Knor visits Abby and tells her that Sinan killed Luke when he was infected. Abby becomes very upset and starts reminiscing about her happy days with Luke. Meanwhile, Commander Cantor interrogates Sinan. When he realizes that Sinan is not involved, he lets him go, but only to use him to lead them to Noor. Sinan returns home, where Abby confronts him about killing Luke. They argue, and she refuses to let him stay with them anymore. Sinan leaves the house. On the street, he meets Knor, who admits that he told Abby about Luke's death. Suddenly, an officer who had tracked Knor through Sinan appears. Knor kills the officer and informs Sinan that their big operation has begun. All the treated cases gather at the treatment center with the doctor. The doctor realizes they want to free all the infected to spread the virus again in the city. She refuses, but under threat of a weapon, she is forced to open the doors. All the infected flood the streets, and the army tries to contain the situation, but chaos takes over the entire area. Abby boards an evacuation vehicle belonging to the army. Sinan rushes to Client's school to protect him. At that moment, the patient the doctor was treating had not left her confinement. She feared the virus, and the doctor's treatment method had succeeded. Noor attacks Sinan and Client, intending to kill Client. Sinan fights Knorr, telling Client to run. Client escapes, and Sinan manages to kill Knorr. Sinan then finds Client and takes him back, searching for Abby. You find him in the apartment with Sinan, but then a zombie appears and bites Kylian, who gets infected. After that, Sinan kills the zombie and then takes Kylian's father and tells her that he will cure him from the virus and bring him back to her. After a long time, the army manages to contain the situation and destroys all the infected. Later, the doctor discovers the ultimate cure for the virus. Sinan is with Kylian after they cured him. The movie ends. I hope you enjoyed the movie. Don't forget to give us a like.